I deliberately gave that exam everything I had, not because I wanted a higher score, but because I wanted to get into a different college than Liu Ruyan. I wanted her out of my life for good. The moment I walked out of the exam hall, Liu Ruyan's friends burst into laughter. Chen Fan, Liu Ruyan didn't do well on the exam. If you still want to follow her to the same college, you'd better mess up your next test on purpose. Otherwise, you'll score higher than she does, end up at a different college, and you'll never get the chance to keep chasing her again. The whole group laughed like it was the funniest joke in the world. I looked at Liu Ruyan. There wasn't the slightest bit of warmth in her eyes, only disgust. I smiled and simply said, okay, but deep down, I'd already made up my mind. I was done being her pathetic simp. If someone else wanted that role, they could have it. I wasn't wasting another second of my life on her. Right then and there, I called my family's manager, cut off every penny of financial support to Liu Ruyan's family, and have them move out of my house today. Not long after that, my phone exploded with calls. Liu Ruyan called me 99 times in a row. I ignored every single one. Now you want my attention? You're way too late. In my previous life, I was the son of the richest businessman in the country, but I was so hopelessly obsessed with Liu Ruyan, the daughter of my family's driver, that I threw away everything for her. I even signed over the company my father left me, just so I could marry her. But she never loved me. She spent my money while dating another guy behind my back. She treated her boyfriend like he was the center of her world, and treated me like nothing more than a servant. On the day she got married, I desperately called her because I needed money for medical treatment. She didn't hesitate for even a second. She coldly said, Chen Fan, having you chase me all those years was the biggest nightmare of my life, so please, disappear from my life forever. Not long after that, I died. But in my final moments, I saw a girl holding me in her arms, crying her heart out. Only then did I realize the wealthy girl I had rejected years ago had been waiting for me all this time. When I opened my eyes again, I was back. Back in my senior year of high school, back before everything went wrong. I was asleep with my head on my desk when Liu Ruyan woke me up. Lu Jingnian isn't feeling well? Go buy some stomach medicine for him, then stop by the cafeteria and bring him lunch. Oh, and get extra meat. He's way too skinny. At that moment, Lu Jingnian was sitting at his desk. The entire class had gathered around him. Everyone was worried about him, but the one who cared the most was Liu Ruyan. The two of them were always at the top of the class. Everyone believed they were the perfect match. As for me, I was nothing more than Liu Ruyan's blind follower. Every day, I ran errands for her, bought her food, fetched her water, did whatever she asked without question. But this time, everything was different. The moment I saw her face, every memory from my previous life came rushing back. And instead of love, all I felt was amusement. Who the hell did she think she was? Ordering me around. Seeing me stand there without moving, Liu Ruyan frowned. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and get back. After saying that, Liu Ruyan walked over to Lu Jingnian and gently rubbed his back. Lu Jingnian glanced at me and said, You don't have to send him. I can go myself. Liu Ruyan smiled. Oh, don't worry about him. He loves doing things for me. If I stop him, he'll probably be upset. Then she looked at me. I didn't say a word. I simply turned around and headed to the cafeteria. But this time, I wasn't there to get food for anyone else. I was there for myself. I stood in line and ordered 2 full meals. The moment a few classmates saw me, they started laughing. Look who's here again, Liu Ruyan's personal errand boy. Too bad he still doesn't get it. Liu Ruyan likes Lu Jingnian. She'd never look twice at a guy like you. I calmly looked at them. What kind of guy am I? One of them laughed. Seriously? You're just a driver's son. You ride to school with the boss's daughter every day and somehow convinced yourself you'd marry her one day. Another guy smirked. Wake up, Chen Fan. You're so useless you'll spend the rest of your life working for Liu Ruyan's family. You'll wash their clothes, clean their house, and one day you'll probably be babysitting her kids. Instead of getting angry, I laughed. Then I looked him straight in the eye. Who told you all that? Did Liu Ruyan tell everyone I'm her family's servant? The truth was, back then I liked Liu Ruyan so much that I let her ride in my family's luxury car to and from school every single day. But everyone got the story completely backward. They all assumed Liu Ruyan came from a wealthy family, and I was nothing more than the driver's son. The guy rolled his eyes. Whatever, stop making excuses. Just hurry up and take your precious boss her lunch. If you're late, you'll be the one getting yelled at. The group burst into laughter again. The entire cafeteria mocked me like I was some pathetic joke. To them, I was just another hopeless simp chasing someone way out of my league. I picked up the food, but I never went back to the classroom. Instead, I walked into the school garden, found an empty bench, and quietly sat down. Then, for the first time, I ate both meals myself. I couldn't even remember the last time I'd eaten until I was actually full. In my previous life, I spent almost every dollar I had on Liu Ruyan. I wouldn't even buy decent food for myself. Some nights, I'd wait until the market closed just to collect vegetables that vendors had thrown away. As for meat, that had become a luxury I couldn't even dream about. This time, I finished both meals. Only then did the hunger finally fade. By the time I returned to the classroom, class had already started. The second Liu Ruyan saw me, she snapped, "So, you finally decided to show up? Where's the medicine?" I looked at her calmly. "What medicine?" She froze for a second. For the first time, there wasn't a trace of affection or concern in my eyes. Only indifference. She frowned. "The stomach medicine for Lu Jingnian. I told you he wasn't feeling well. Were you even listening? You couldn't handle one simple thing?" I glanced at Lu Jingnian. His face really did look pale, but I answered without hesitation. "What does Lu Jingnian have to do with me? Why should I buy medicine for him?" Lu Jingnian came from an ordinary family. Ever since he became friends with Liu Ruyan, she had gone out of her way to take care of him. Whenever my dad bought me something expensive, Liu Ruyan would take it and hand it over to Lu Jingnian. Even the watch on his wrist used to belong to me. The two of them spent my money, used my things, and still treated me like I was their servant. Liu Ruyan's expression turned cold. "Fine, Chen Fan. If this is how you're going to act, then don't come begging for my forgiveness next time, because I won't even talk to you." I couldn't help but laugh. I looked her straight in the eyes. "Forgiveness? What exactly did I do wrong? What am I supposed to apologize for?" The classroom instantly fell silent. Everyone stared at me in disbelief. What's gotten into this guy? Did Chen Fan seriously just talk back to Liu Ruyan? Even Liu Ruyan froze for a moment. She was used to me giving in every single time, but today, I wasn't backing down. After a few seconds, she finally snapped. "Fine, if you're so confident, then don't ride home with me after school," I answered without missing a beat. "Deal." Then I walked back to my seat and sat down like her threat meant absolutely nothing. Seeing that, Wang Yan, one of Lu Jingnian's classmates, immediately stood up. "Chen Fan, what's wrong with you? It was just one simple favor. All you had to do was buy some medicine. Can't you see Lu Jingnian isn't feeling well?" I looked at her calmly. "If you're that worried about him, then why don't you go buy it yourself?" She frowned. "That's your job, not mine." I didn't even hesitate. "Lu Jingnian has nothing to do with me, so why should I buy medicine for him?" Wang Yan pointed at me. "Because you're Liu Ruyan's servant. Buying medicine for her friend is your responsibility." The moment she said that, I turned to Liu Ruyan. "Liu Ruyan, is that what you've been telling everyone? That I'm your family's servant?" For the first time, a hint of panic flashed across her face. The truth was, she had never actually told anyone the real story. People just saw her arriving at school every day in a luxury car, and I was always sitting beside her, so everyone made up their own version of the story. They assumed she came from a wealthy family, and I was just the driver's son. Liu Ruyan never corrected them, because the second people found out that she was actually the daughter of my family's driver, the rich girl image she'd built would disappear overnight. After a long silence, she finally spoke. "Forget the medicine. I'll go buy it myself." Then she looked back at me. "At least you brought lunch, right?" The cafeteria staff had already told her they saw me carrying 2 meals. I answered without the slightest emotion. "Yeah, I did. I already ate it." She stared at me in disbelief. "What do you mean?" "I ate both lunches." The moment those words left my mouth, Liu Ruyan was completely stunned. I simply nodded. The students sitting in the front row turned around and stared at me. "Are you serious? Are you a pig or something? You actually ate both meals by yourself?" These people had always sucked up to Liu Ruyan, and they never missed a chance to look down on me. Back then, I put up with all of it because of her. I thought if I stayed on their good side, they might say something nice about me in front of Liu Ruyan, but now I realized how stupid I'd been. Every time Liu Ruyan treated them to food, she was spending my money. So I looked at them and calmly said, "I paid for that food with my own money. 2 meals? If I wanted to, I could have bought 20. The room instantly went quiet. Their expressions changed. Then someone muttered, "Your own money? Isn't all your money coming from Liu Ruyan's family anyway?" I didn't even bother answering. They weren't worth my time. But hearing me say that only made Liu Ruyan even angrier. What bothered her the most was that I hadn't even brought her lunch today. She glared at me. "Chen Fan, you brought this on yourself. We'll see how long you can keep this little attitude going." Then she grabbed her books and stood up. She turned to Wang Yan. "Let's switch seats. I'm not sitting next to him anymore." This was her favorite punishment. Whenever I didn't do what she wanted, she'd ignore me on purpose until I gave in. And every single time, I'd end up apologizing first. After all, I'd begged her to sit next to me in the first place. I wanted her close so she could help me study, but looking back, when had she ever actually helped me? She never taught me anything. She only treated me like her personal assistant. She probably thought I'd panic this time too, but I didn't even look at her. Liu Ruyan sat there without lunch. Lu Jingnian was still dealing with his stomach pain. Neither of them looked happy. Meanwhile, I sat quietly by the window, completely unfazed. Liu Ruyan kept stealing glances at me. It was obvious. She was genuinely furious this time. She was convinced I'd come crawling back to apologize before the day was over. And when I did, she planned to make me pay for it. School finally ended, right on time. My family's luxury car pulled up outside the front gate. I walked out of the school and headed straight for the car. By now, the entire school knew I'd had a falling out with Liu Ruyan. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen next. The second I opened the car door, the gossip started all over again. So he refuses to bring her lunch, but he's still shameless enough to ride in her car. Does this guy seriously not know his place? He's just a driver's son, and now he's acting like he owns the car. Wait, Liu Ruyan isn't even here yet. He actually got in before she did. Liu Ruyan is way too nice. If I were her, I would have kicked this guy out a long time ago. I ignored every single comment. I got into the car, looked at the driver and said, "Let's go." The driver glanced at me through the rearview mirror. "Young master, Miss Liu Ruyan isn't here yet. Maybe we should wait a little longer." Normally, whenever Liu Ruyan stayed late because of student council work, I'd always wait for her. The driver clearly assumed today would be no different, but I repeated myself. "Drive." The driver hesitated. "But Miss Liu Ruyan?" I couldn't help but laugh. Since when did Liu Ruyan become the lady of my house? The driver looked a little nervous. "Did you two have a fight?" "Don't worry, young master. I'll talk to Miss Liu Ruyan once we get home." I looked at him coldly. "That's not necessary. Just drive. From today on, I'm never riding in the same car with her again, and I don't even want to see her face." The driver fell silent, but he still didn't start the car. He knew how obsessed I'd always been with Liu Ruyan. He figured I'd calm down in a minute and change my mind. To him, I wasn't someone he had to take seriously anymore. In his mind, once my father retired, everything my family owned would eventually belong to his daughter anyway. That's why he'd slowly stopped acting like a driver and started acting like he was part of the family. I frowned. "Are you driving or not?" The truth was, my father had wanted to fire him a long time ago. He'd found out the driver had been secretly gambling. There was no way my father could trust someone like that. But back then, I was the idiot who kept defending him over and over again. Because as long as he stayed, Liu Ruyan would keep coming to my house. I even lied to my father for his sake. I kept saying he was honest, that he always took great care of me. That's the only reason he still had his job. But now, he'd gotten so full of himself, he wouldn't even listen to his own boss anymore. Just then, Liu Ruyan and Lu Jingnian walked out through the school gate together. The driver immediately jumped out of the car. He rushed over, opened the door for Liu Ruyan, then politely helped Lu Jingnian into the back seat. Because of me. Lu Jingnian used to ride home with us every day. The driver would always drop him off first, then take me home afterward. But before Lu Jingnian could get into the car, I spoke up. "Weren't you the one who said you weren't riding home with me anymore? So why are you getting into my car?" The second those words came out, the students nearby exploded. "What is wrong with Chen Fan? That's Liu Ruyan's car. Does he seriously think he owns it? They're already doing him a favor by letting him ride with them. And now he's trying to stop Liu Ruyan from getting in?" Within seconds, everyone was pointing fingers at me. The gossip spread like wildfire. Liu Ruyan's face turned ice cold. She couldn't understand what had gotten into me. I'd always backed down before, so why wasn't I giving in this time? Finally, she snapped. "Chen Fan, do you really have to make such a scene? I already let the whole lunch thing go. I was even ready to forgive you." I looked her straight in the eyes. "I don't need your forgiveness. You can find your own way home. And from now on, don't ever get into my car again." The color drained from Liu Ruyan's face. She'd spent years convincing everyone she came from a wealthy family. If she didn't get into my family's car today, people would start asking questions. Without another word, she grabbed my arm and yanked me out of the car. Then she helped Lu Jingnian inside instead. My anger was reaching its limit. Some memories from my previous life were still blurry, but seeing Liu Ruyan's true colors again, I couldn't understand how I'd put up with her for so many years. She didn't even bother arguing with me. She simply turned to the driver. "Drive." And unbelievably, the driver obeyed without hesitation. He drove away, leaving me standing alone on the side of the road. The students watching couldn't stop laughing. Serves him right. He had that coming. Who does he think he is? I quietly stood there, then pulled out my phone. It was the cheap old Nokia Liu Ruyan had given me years ago. Back then, just to make her happy, I gave Liu Ruyan my brand new iPhone, and I kept her old Nokia for myself. At the time, I honestly believed I was protecting her pride. Now, looking at that cheap phone only made me laugh at how stupid I'd been. Without another thought, I called my dad. A few minutes later, the same luxury car that had just driven off without me pulled back up in front of the school. The driver rushed out. One look at his face, and I knew my father had already chewed him out. I calmly said, "Get those two out of my car. I'm not riding with them." The color instantly drained from Liu Ruyan's face. She glared at me. "If you're mad at me, then take it out on me. Why are you dragging Lu Jingnian into this?" Before I could answer, Lu Jingnian stopped her. "It's fine, don't argue with him." The moment they stepped out, I got back into the car like nothing had happened. Before the car pulled away, I rolled down the window, smiled at Liu Ruyan, and waved. "Bye." The driver kept glancing at me through the rearview mirror. He still couldn't believe I'd changed this much. After a long silence, he finally spoke. "Young master, couples argue sometimes. I'll talk to Miss Liu Ruyan when we get home. I'm sure she'll apologize. Besides, she doesn't even have a ride home now. She'll have to take the bus." I didn't even look at him. "So what? Everyone else takes the bus. Why can't she?" Then I looked him straight in the eyes. "Tell me something. Did you forget who's paying your salary? If you're that worried about her, then quit your job and go work for her family." The driver immediately shut his mouth. The rest of the drive was dead silent. When I got home, Aunt Jo greeted me at the door. "Young master, you're home alone. Where's Liu Ruyan?" I answered without hesitation. "From today on, I don't want to hear her name in this house again." Aunt Jo froze. For the first time, she realized I had finally broken free from Liu Ruyan. I'd been so obsessed with that girl for years that she and her father had started acting like they owned this house. Aunt Jo had wanted to wake me up countless times, but she was afraid I'd only resent her for it. Hearing me say those words, her eyes immediately turned red. If there was one person in this house who had genuinely cared about me, it was Aunt Jo. But in my previous life, I let Liu Ruyan drive a wedge between us. Then, after Liu Liu Ruyan took control of the household, the very first person she fired was Aunt Jo. The memories hit me all at once. My eyes stung. I was about to head upstairs when Aunt Jo suddenly called out, "Young master, Licia is here. Should I ask her to leave?" Licia came over often. My father had always hoped we'd end up together. But back then, I only had eyes for Liu Ruyan. Every time Licia visited, I'd send her away without even meeting her. After all those years, we'd barely spoken. But when I was dying, she was the only one crying beside me. Her people were the ones who rushed me to the hospital. Even after everything, she still believed she was my fiancée. Thinking about that, I stopped Aunt Jo. "No, I'll see her. She's in the garden," Aunt Jo replied. "She's playing with Tommy." I headed straight outside. There, Licia was gently feeding Tommy. Tommy was my dog, but Liu Ruyan hated dogs. So little by little, I stopped spending time with him just to please her. Seeing Licia happily playing with Tommy made something ache inside me. I remembered, despite being beautiful, talented, and coming from an incredible family, she had stayed single all those years. The thought alone made my eyes water again. After feeding Tommy, Licia finally looked up. She hadn't even noticed I'd been standing there. She started walking toward me, but halfway, she suddenly stopped. She remembered how much I used to hate seeing her. With a small smile, she said, "Chen Fan, you're here." Licia wasn't just beautiful. She was calm, kind, and incredibly mature. We were the same age, but she carried herself like someone much older. She was always at the top of the class. And that was exactly why Liu Ruyan couldn't stand her. She always complained, "Licia only gets those grades because her family spends so much money on her. If I had the same opportunities, I'd be even better than her." Eventually, I started treating Licia like an enemy too, but looking back, what had she ever done to me? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Holding back my emotions, I asked, "Did you come to see me?" She nodded softly. "I just wanted to make sure you were okay." I didn't say anything. She smiled politely. "I know you don't want to see me. I'll leave now." Honestly, she'd only come to visit Tommy. She never expected me to walk over and talk to her first. For her, that alone was enough. When I realized she was about to leave, I stopped her. "Would you like to have dinner with me tonight?" She froze. For a second, she thought she'd misheard me. "Really? I can stay?" The warm evening sunlight fell across my face. I smiled. Of course. By then, Liu Ruyan still wasn't home. Like always, she was busy taking Lu Jingnian home. The old me would have never started dinner without waiting for her, but that version of Chen Fan was gone. Aunt Jo looked surprised. "Young master, we're not waiting for Liu Ruyan?" I answered without thinking. Why would we? Everyone in the house had watched me revolve around Liu Ruyan for years. Seeing me act like this felt completely unreal. Aunt Jo smiled. "All right, I'll have dinner served." Then I added, "Oh, one more thing. Tell Uncle Liu not to come back tomorrow. He doesn't work here anymore." She paused for a second. Then she realized I'd already made up my mind. She simply nodded. After firing the driver, I finally sat down at the dinner table. Across from me, Licia kept sneaking little glances at me. The moment our eyes met, she quickly looked away. I couldn't help smiling. "So, do I really look that hard to look at? Or am I just that ugly?" She immediately shook her head. "No, not at all." She looked calm on the outside, but her bright red ears gave her away. She was incredibly nervous. I smiled and changed the subject. "I heard you're amazing at school." Licia nodded. "I'm doing pretty well." I got straight to the point. "Do you know any good tutors? I want to start taking school seriously." I wasn't counting on Liu Ruyan anymore. In my previous life, I trusted her with everything. I ignored my studies, threw away my future, and paid the price for it. I wasn't making that mistake twice. Licia looked surprised. "You actually want to study?" I nodded without hesitation. "I do." She stayed quiet for a moment, then softly said, "I don't have a tutor. I've always studied on my own. But if you don't mind, I could come over after school every day and help you." She was already expecting me to say no. After all, the old Chen Fan couldn't even stand the sight of her. But this time, my eyes lit up. "Really?" She smiled and nodded. "Of course." I couldn't hide my excitement. "Thank you. I just hope you don't get frustrated with me. My grades are terrible. What if you end up thinking I'm hopeless?" She smiled warmly. "That won't happen. I've already finished everything I need to study. Helping you won't affect me at all." Her voice was calm. Her eyes were full of patience. I smiled. "Then let's start tomorrow." Throughout dinner, she barely spoke. I reached over and served her some food. "Make yourself at home." Right then, Liu Ruyan walked in. She and her father had always lived in our house. After all, her father worked for my family, and my dad had even given them a place to stay. On her way home, she'd already heard that her father had been fired. The moment she stepped inside, she saw me eating dinner without waiting for her, and Licia was sitting across from me. Her expression instantly darkened. I glanced at her once, then went right back to eating. At first, she wanted to argue about her father's job, but the second she noticed Licia, she frowned. "What is she doing here?" Before, I'd stayed away from every other girl just to make Liu Ruyan happy. Whenever Licia came over, I'd send her away without even saying hello, but tonight she was having dinner with me. I looked at Liu Ruyan. "She's my fiancé. Do you have a problem with that?" She reluctantly sat down, then looked at me. "So that's what this is? You're only doing this to make me jealous?" Licia stayed quiet and listened. I looked Liu Ruyan right in the eyes. "You really think you're that important? You're not the center of my world anymore." Once, my entire life revolved around her, but after getting a second chance, all I felt when I looked at her was disgust and regret. There was no way I was falling into that nightmare again. Liu Ruyan let out a cold laugh. "If you think hanging around another girl is going to make me jealous, you're dreaming. Honestly, I'd be relieved. At least you'd finally stop following me around. Then she turned around and walked upstairs. The moment she disappeared, I looked at Li Xia. Something about her expression had changed. She'd gone unusually quiet. I quickly said, don't listen to anything she said, but Li Xia didn't answer. She quietly finished dinner. Then I walked her to the front gate. Get home safely. She gave me a small smile. I will. Then she quietly left. When I walked back inside, Liu Ruyan was already waiting for me at the bottom of the stairs. I had to admit, she was beautiful, gentle, innocent looking. That same face had fooled me in my previous life. She looked at me. Why did you fire my dad? She'd waited until we were alone on purpose. She didn't want Li Xia finding out that she was only the daughter of my family's driver. I answered indifferently. I fired one of my family's employees. I don't owe you an explanation. She immediately replied, what happened today? My dad was only following my orders. He didn't do anything wrong. If you're angry, take it out on me. Not him. Then she snapped, if you have such a problem with us, then throw me out too. The moment I heard that, my eyes lit up. Sure, no problem. Starting tomorrow, you won't be living here anymore. She froze. She clearly thought I'd panic and try to keep her here. Instead, I looked straight at her. You've always called me stupid, haven't you? Fine. You're no longer my tutor. Pack your things and move out. I'll hire someone else. Honestly, ever since you started tutoring me, my grades have only gotten worse. I paid you all that money and got absolutely nothing in return. She still thought I was only speaking out of anger. She immediately shot back, your grades aren't my fault. You're just slow. I explained something to Lu Jingnian once, and she understands it immediately. But you? I have to explain the same thing over and over. How is that my fault? It doesn't matter who teaches you. You'll never improve. I cut her off. Enough. I've already made my decision. Pack your things and leave this house tomorrow. She glared at me. Chen Fan, you're a student? You should be focusing on school. No wonder your grades are so awful. You're only acting like this because you're jealous of me and Lu Jingnian. But listen carefully. My only priority is studying. I want to get into a great college. I'm not like you. Your family has more money than you'll ever need. You could waste your whole life and still be fine. I stared at her for a second. Then I laughed. Who told you I wanted to date you? Where does all that confidence come from? To be honest, I don't have the slightest interest in you anymore. She didn't believe a word I said. She simply shrugged. Believe whatever you want. But remember this, if you let Li Xia into this house again, don't expect me to speak to you. Then she stormed upstairs and slammed the door behind her. The second she left, I called Aunt Zhou. Aunt Zhou, tomorrow, move every single thing from Liu Ruyan's room. I don't want her staying in this house for one more day. After that, I saved Li Xia's number, then texted her, did you make it home safely? There was no reply. The next morning, for the first time in years, I didn't have to wake up early. Every morning, I'd leave the house before sunrise just to pick up Lu Jingnian, but those days were over. I slowly got out of bed and headed downstairs. I thought Liu Ruyan would have already left. Instead, she was sitting at the dining table, waiting for me. I quietly sat down and enjoyed my breakfast. Honestly, I couldn't even remember the last time I'd eaten breakfast at home this peacefully. Liu Ruyan kept staring at me. Without looking up, I said, if you're going to school, then stop waiting around for me to drive you. After breakfast, I walked outside. She silently followed behind me. My father had already assigned a new driver. He immediately opened the car door for me. I got in, but a second later, Liu Ruyan climbed in too. I looked at her. What are you doing? Weren't you the one who said you weren't riding with me anymore? So why are you getting into my car now? She stayed completely silent. The truth was, her father had told her to do whatever it took to make peace with me. But one look at her face, and it was obvious she didn't want to be there. She was only doing it because she had no choice. I turned to the driver. Drive. A little while later, we arrived at school. For the first time, Lu Jingnian had taken the bus instead of riding with us. The moment he saw the two of us getting out of the same car, he walked over with a confused smile. So, did you two make up? I didn't even look at him. I walked straight toward the classroom. Liu Ruyan simply said, nothing's going on between us. Then she followed Lu Jingnian inside. Hearing that, Lu Jingnian quietly relaxed. He figured I was only upset because her father had been fired. The second I walked into the classroom, Wang Yan blocked my path. Move, I said calmly. She crossed her arms. You really crossed the line yesterday. You left Liu Ruyan and Lu Jingnian on the side of the road and drove off by yourself. I smiled. That was my car. Who gets to ride in it and who doesn't? That's my decision. Who are you to tell me otherwise? The entire classroom fell silent. One student couldn't help asking, wait, are you saying that luxury car actually belongs to your family? I answered without hesitation. Of course it does. Wang Yan burst out laughing. Chen Fan, we all know exactly who you are. Stop pretending you're some rich young master. Everybody knows your dad's just a driver. Liu Ruyan is nice enough to let you stay around. Otherwise, she would have kicked you out a long time ago. A lot of the students immediately believed her. Right then, Liu Ruyan and Lu Jingnian walked into the classroom. The moment Liu Ruyan heard those words, her expression became awkward because without realizing it, Wang Yan wasn't insulting me. She was insulting Liu Ruyan. Liu Ruyan immediately spoke up. Wang Yan, go back to your seat. Wang Yan realized Liu Ruyan was unhappy, so she quietly walked away. Liu Ruyan sat down beside me again, but I didn't even spare her a glance. I simply didn't care anymore. Meanwhile, Wang Yan sat next to Lu Jingnian. She lowered her voice. I seriously don't get it. Why is Liu Ruyan still defending Qin Fan? Lu Jingnian smiled. Her father asked her to look after him. That's all. Wang Yan nodded. That makes sense. Otherwise, how could a guy like Qin Fan seriously believe that luxury car belongs to him? Just compare their phones. Look at Liu Ruyan's phone, the expensive gifts she gets, and then look at Qin Fan's old phone. You can tell who actually comes from money. I completely ignored their conversation. Instead, I pulled out my phone. Li Xia had finally replied, but it was only one word. Seeing that cold, short reply, I couldn't help thinking about last night. She'd been so warm during dinner, so why did she suddenly feel so distant? I texted her back. Are you still coming over to tutor me this afternoon? A little later, she replied, yes, just one word. I smiled to myself, put my phone away, and focused completely on studying. When lunch break started, Lu Jingnian and Liu Ruyan got up to head to the cafeteria together. Before leaving, Liu Ruyan glanced at me. You're not coming to lunch? All morning, I'd been completely focused on my schoolwork. I hadn't fallen asleep once. I hadn't even looked at her. Even now, I was busy organizing my notes. Seeing me like this, Liu Ruyan couldn't believe it. The guy who used to think about nothing but her was suddenly taking school seriously. I didn't answer. I acted like I hadn't even heard her. Lu Jingnian gently said, let's go. If Qin Fan doesn't want to come, we'll just bring him something later. I immediately shook my head. No, don't bother. Honestly, Lu Jingnian didn't seem like a bad person. At least, he hadn't done anything to me. But I didn't want to owe anyone anything. I packed up my things and walked out of the classroom by myself. As they headed downstairs, Lu Jingnian quietly asked Liu Ruyan, what happened to Qin Fan? What exactly happened between you two? Even Liu Ruyan didn't know. No matter how cold she'd treated him before, Qin Fan had always followed her around like a shadow. But ever since yesterday, everything had changed. And she couldn't figure out why. After a moment, Lu Jingnian asked, by the way, it's your birthday this weekend. You're inviting Qin Fan, right? Last year's birthday party had been unbelievably extravagant. From the hotel reservation to every decoration, Qin Fan had planned and paid for everything. He'd spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. Everyone in class talked about that party for months. And this year's celebration had already been completely arranged by Qin Fan too. But after seeing how different he'd been since yesterday, a thought suddenly crossed Liu Ruyan's mind. What if Qin Fan really doesn't show up? Then what happens to my birthday party? But she quickly pushed that thought away. No, he'll definitely come. He comes every year. There's no way he'd miss my birthday. He's probably acting like this because he's planning some big surprise for me. Thinking that, Liu Ruyan finally relaxed. Lu Jingnian smiled. Yeah, I'm sure he'll show up. After school, Liu Ruyan and Lu Jingnian stayed behind to rehearse for the annual school performance. I didn't wait for anyone. I went straight home. The moment I walked through the front door, Li Xia and Tommy both ran over to greet me. A smile naturally appeared on my face. For some reason, ever since getting a second chance at life, every moment I spent with Li Xia felt precious. Seeing me smile, she froze for a second. She still wasn't used to this new version of me. A faint blush appeared on her face. I laughed. You got here early. Come on, let's head to the study. The two of us sat down in the study room. There were a lot of things from class I still didn't understand. I wanted her to explain everything from the beginning. Instead of jumping straight into the lesson, Li Xia placed 2 practice tests in front of me. She wanted to see where I actually stood. I answered every question honestly, then handed the papers back. She quietly looked through them. I rubbed the back of my neck. Sorry, I guess I really am pretty bad at this. She immediately shook her head. No, you're not the problem. Your foundation is. We'll rebuild the basics first. Once that's solid, the rest will be easy. I nodded without hesitation. Then she patiently started teaching me. Every explanation was simple, easy to understand. Questions that had confused me for months suddenly made perfect sense. After teaching for quite a while, she reached for a glass of water. The moment she looked up, she caught me staring at her. She immediately looked away. What is it? Did I make a mistake? I smiled. No, I just wanted to ask you something. You're so patient when you're teaching me, so why do you only text one-word replies? Were you upset because of what Liu Ruyan said yesterday? She quickly shook her head. No, my relatives came over yesterday. I was busy with them. By the time I saw your message, it was already morning. Besides, if you ever need me, just call. Don't text. I smiled. Right then, my phone suddenly rang. It was Liu Ruyan. I answered. The second the call connected, she exploded. Qin Fan? What the hell is this? I frowned. What did I do now? She yelled. Why did you throw all my stuff out of the house? I glanced at Li Xia, then answered honestly. I already told you yesterday. You're fired. Your father's fired too. So why would you still be living in my house? I'm busy. Stop bothering me. Then I hung up. Outside the house, Liu Ruyan stood there staring at all of her luggage. She couldn't believe Qin Fan had actually gone through with it. Meanwhile, I set my phone aside, then looked at Li Xia. All right, let's pick up where we left off. She nodded. But only a few minutes later, the study room door flew open. Liu Ruyan stormed inside. The second she saw me sitting there with Li Xia, jealousy flashed across her face. I stood up. What are you doing here? You don't like me. You've never even wanted to see me. So why do you keep coming after me now? She marched right up to me. So, humiliating me is fun for you now? Before I could answer, Li Xia instinctively stepped in front of me. like she was trying to shield me. I calmly looked at Liu Ruyan. When did I ever humiliate you? I think you've got everything backwards. The one who was humiliated was me. For years, I paid for everything you wanted. You and Lu Jingnian were always together, and I followed behind you like some servant. I gave you everything, and all I ever got in return was your disgust. If that wasn't humiliation, then what was? I'm only taking back what was mine, and somehow you think that's insulting you? Liu Ruyan went silent. She bit her lip, then looked me straight in the eyes. Don't think bringing another girl here is going to pressure me into loving you. I will never love you, and I will never be with you. She turned around and stormed off, but she was so furious. She walked straight into the door. I stood by the window and watched everything. She picked up all of her luggage, then walked away without looking back even once. Liu Ruyan had always been proud. Her family was poor, but she had never bowed to money. Maybe that was what attracted me to her in the first place. But now, thinking back on my previous life, I couldn't help laughing at how stupid I had been. Li Xia quietly spoke up. Chen Fan, I'm sorry. If you're not feeling okay, I can come back another day. I smiled and shook my head. No, I'm fine. I was just thinking about the past. Honestly, I'm not sad that Liu Ruyan left. If anything, it feels like my life is finally getting back on track. As long as I stay away from her this time, maybe I won't end up destroying my life all over again. Li Xia nodded softly. Okay, I should get going. She turned to leave. Without even thinking, I reached out and gently grabbed her hand. She looked back at me, surprised. What is it? Honestly, I didn't even know why I did it. But one thing had become obvious. Every time Liu Ruyan showed up, Li Xia would quietly distance herself from me. Everyone believed I was in love with Liu Ruyan. And they were right, at least in my previous life. If I hadn't been given a second chance, I probably never would have realized the truth. I slowly let go of her hand. Then I asked, are you free this Saturday? I'm having lunch at Wangting Hotel. Want to come with me? The food there was incredible. After everything I'd gone through in my last life, I just wanted to enjoy life for once. The old me would have invited Liu Ruyan, but now, the person I wanted to spend time with was Li Xia. Besides, our families had arranged our engagement years ago. If I hadn't thrown everything away, there's a good chance I would have married Li Xia after graduation. Looking back, my dad wasn't wrong. Li Xia wasn't inferior to Liu Ruyan in any way. She was beautiful, kind, smart, and came from an amazing family. If anyone was lucky, it was me. Li Xia hesitated. You're not taking Liu Ruyan? I smiled. So you'd rather see me stay with her or keep avoiding you like I used to? She immediately shook her head. No, not at all. I smiled. Then it's settled. I'll see you Saturday. Saturday afternoon, I arrived at the hotel a little late. As soon as I walked inside, I spotted several classmates gathered near the entrance. Everyone was dressed up. The moment Wang Yan saw me, she burst out laughing. Chen Fan, you've got some nerve showing up here. I stayed calm. Why wouldn't I be here? My dad and the owner of this hotel are close friends. I'm a super VIP here. I can come whenever I want. So tell me, who exactly are you to stop me? Wang Yan smirked. Liu Ruyan won't even talk to you at school anymore. And today is her birthday. You seriously showed up without an invitation? That's when I remembered. Right, today really was Liu Ruyan's birthday. I'd been so focused on studying lately, it completely slipped my mind. Last year, I personally planned her entire 18th birthday. The hotel, the decorations, everything. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on that party, and looking back, that was the day my biggest mistake truly began. Later, I was stupid enough to hand over my father's company for her. Thinking about it now, all I felt was regret. Without saying another word, I walked straight toward the elevator. I wasn't here for Liu Ruyan. I had my own reservation. I came to see Li Xia. The elevator doors opened. The first people I saw were Liu Ruyan and Lu Jingnian. Liu Ruyan immediately noticed me. A smug smile spread across her face as she walked over. I knew you'd come. I knew you couldn't stay away. So, yesterday you said you weren't coming? Don't think showing up here means I've forgiven you. I'm still mad at you. That was always her move. She'd act angry and wait for me to apologize. But not this time. I smiled faintly. You've got the wrong idea. I'm not here for your birthday. You never invited me. And honestly, you've got plenty of people celebrating with you. You won't miss me. The smile on Liu Ruyan's face disappeared. Chen Fan, what are you trying to say? Just then, the hotel manager walked over. Good afternoon, young master, I asked. Has Li Xia arrived? He nodded immediately. Yes, sir. She's waiting for you. I'll take you to her. I started walking with the manager, but Liu Ruyan followed right behind me. Chen Fan, enough already. Why are you going to see Li Xia? I looked at her calmly. You're the one making a scene? You were the one who wanted me to stop chasing you. So now that I've finally moved on with my own life, why does it bother you so much? Your friends are waiting for you, so stop following me. After saying that, I glanced at Lu Jingnian. He was standing not too far away, watching everything unfold. This was the first time he'd ever seen Liu Ruyan care this much about me. But I knew the truth. She wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of losing my money. For years, she never hesitated to spend what was mine. She rejected my feelings, but she never rejected my wallet. Now that I'd taken everything back, she finally started to panic. After all, how was she supposed to throw a huge birthday party without money? After a long silence, Liu Ruyan spoke softly. If Lu Jingnian is really the problem, I'll keep my distance from him. Just stop doing this. I almost laughed. For the first time, she was actually worried about embarrassing herself. She had already invited all of our classmates. If the party got canceled now, she'd be completely humiliated. I answered calmly, fine, it's your birthday. I don't want to ruin everyone else's night. Then I turned to the manager. I reserved Jade Hall under Liu Ruyan's name. Go ahead and give her the room. The manager nodded immediately. I looked back at Liu Ruyan. Happy now? She finally let out a sigh of relief. She really believed all of this was just because I was jealous of Lu Jingnian. I knew it, she said. I knew this was all about him. I gave a faint smile. You're wrong again. I honestly don't care who you're with. But remember one thing, as long as I was around, you never had to worry about money. The manager stood there quietly, listening to everything. Even Liu Ruyan looked embarrassed. Without another word, she turned around and left. The manager looked at me. Young master, should we keep everything in Jade Hall as originally planned? I nodded. Keep all the arrangements. But the bill? Not a single dollar is coming from me. Collect every cent before the party ends. And until they pay, nobody leaves. The manager respectfully lowered his head. Understood, young master. After taking care of everything, I went straight to meet Li Xia. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan walked back to Lu Jingnian. Seeing the look on her face, he asked, what happened? What were you two talking about? She shook her head. Nothing important. But deep down, she told herself, once tonight's party is over, Chen Fan will disappear from my life forever, and I'll never look back. When I walked into the private room, Li Xia was already looking through the menu. She looked up the moment she heard me. Our eyes met. I smiled. Have you been waiting long? She smiled back. Not really. I just got here myself. Instead of sitting across from her, I pulled out the chair right beside her. There were plenty of empty seats. She probably expected me to sit somewhere else. For a second, she looked a little flustered, but she didn't say anything. I smiled. Already ordered? She shook her head. Not yet. I was still deciding. I leaned over to look at the menu with her, but after I sat down, she wasn't looking at the menu anymore. She kept stealing little glances at me instead. I laughed. I'm craving something spicy today. I don't know why, but spicy food reminds me that I'm really alive. Sometimes, the hunger, poverty, and illness from my previous life still came back in my dreams. That's why even simple moments like this felt precious now. The food arrived. I took one bite. It was so spicy. I immediately grabbed my watermelon juice. Li Xia smiled. So, you like spicy food? Yeah, I love it. What about you? She nodded. Me too. Then she started eating the same dishes. Just then, the private room door opened. The owner of the hotel, Zhou Ye, walked inside. I greeted him politely. Good afternoon, Uncle Zhou. He smiled. Chen Fan? So, you're here too. The moment he said that, I realized he wasn't here to see me. His attention was on Li Xia. That's when it hit me. He knew who she really was. Most people had no idea that the daughter of the powerful Li family from the capital was living quietly in Yun City. Li Xia simply gave him a small nod, then went back to eating. I always thought she was outgoing, but today, I realized she was actually a very private person. Zhou Ye stood there for a while. He even poured her a glass of water himself, but she only gave short, polite replies. Finally, he smiled. Well then, I'll let you two enjoy your meal. Just as he turned to leave, I stopped him. Uncle Zhou? 1 second. He turned back. Yes. Chen Fan? What is it? I hesitated for a moment. Then I asked, is your hotel's fire safety system in good shape? He looked surprised. Why are you asking that all of a sudden? I couldn't tell him the truth. In my previous life, a massive fire broke out here just a few days later. It started in the kitchen. And when the emergency happened, even the fire extinguishers didn't work. People lost their lives. The hotel never recovered after that. And Zhou Ye was devastated. I simply said, I think you should have everything inspected again, especially the kitchen. A hint of annoyance crossed his face. Our hotel follows every safety regulation. Your father knows how seriously I take this. I would never cut corners. I stayed calm, maybe, but it wouldn't hurt to check one more time. He still looked unconvinced. Then Li Xia suddenly spoke. I think Chen Fan has a point. There's no harm in checking. It was the first time she'd interrupted him. And surprisingly, Zhou Ye agreed without hesitation. All right, I'll go inspect it myself. He left the room. As soon as the door closed, I looked at Li Xia in surprise. Why did you trust me so easily? She looked at me and answered without hesitation. Because you said it. That was enough for me. I looked at Li Xia. What if I had been wrong? She smiled softly. Then the worst that would have happened is he would have checked everything once. So what would have been the harm? Her answer warmed my heart. In my previous life, the day I found out I had HIV, not a single person believed me. Everyone assumed I'd done something shameful. No matter how many times I tried to explain, nobody listened. But the truth was completely different. Liu Ruyan had deliberately arranged for me to be injected with a syringe that had already been used on an HIV patient just so she wouldn't have to marry me. That was when I finally understood. The person who framed you is always the one who knows exactly how innocent you really are. Li Xia and I stayed together for a long time. Even after we finished eating, we sat there doing homework. She patiently explained every question I didn't understand. Before we knew it, evening had turned into night. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan's birthday party had already ended. But just as everyone was about to leave, the hotel staff stopped them. The reason was simple. Nobody had paid the bill. A few moments later, my phone started ringing. The caller ID showed Liu Ruyan. I ignored the first call. Li Xia glanced at me I simply smiled. She called 2 more times, and I finally answered. The second she heard my voice, she exploded. Chen Fan, what the hell is this? The angrier she sounded, the better my mood became. I chuckled. What happened? Why are you so mad? She clenched her teeth. Get over here and pay the bill. I acted confused. That's weird. It's your birthday. I wasn't even at the party, so why should I pay? You've got plenty of classmates there. Why don't you all split the bill? Aren't you all such good friends? I remembered it clearly. Every month, I gave her thousands of dollars as pocket money. She used that money to treat everyone around her. People thought she was generous. They never realized she was spending my money. She gritted her teeth. Chen Fan, have you really sunk this low? I answered calmly. If you're asking someone for help, the least you can do is ask nicely. Silence filled the other end of the call. A few seconds later, she finally whispered, please. Even I was surprised to hear that word come out of her mouth. I smiled. That's better. After hanging up, I looked at Li Xia. I'll be right back. Then I headed straight for Jade Hall. All of our classmates were still inside. The tension in the room was obvious. Nobody could leave. The moment I walked in, the manager immediately came over. Young master, I looked around the room. Earlier that day, every single one of them had looked down on me. Now, they were the ones sitting there in embarrassment. I smiled. What's going on? Why does this birthday party look so depressing? The manager answered, Miss Liu hasn't paid the bill yet. I pretended to be surprised. That's all? No big deal. I'll take care of it. I handed him my card. The entire room fell silent. Everyone looked completely confused. They couldn't understand why Chen Fan was paying Liu Ruyan's bill. Liu Ruyan's face turned bright red. The moment she looked at me, she realized something. I wasn't here to help her. I was here to expose her. If I wanted to, I could have quietly paid the bill and left, but that wasn't my plan. I wanted everyone in that room to learn the truth. For years, Liu Ruyan had played the role of a rich girl, when in reality, every dollar she spent came from me. A few minutes later, the manager returned. He handed me my card and the receipt. I looked at the bill, then deliberately read the total out loud. Total, $86,000. I turned toward Liu Ruyan. Happy birthday. I'll cover your birthday bill this year too. But remember, this is the last time. Then I looked at Lu Jingnian. The color completely drained from his face. The entire room erupted. Wait, so all these years, Chen Fan was paying for everything? Then how was Liu Ruyan supposed to be the rich one? Right in front of everyone. The image she'd built for years started falling apart. Wang Yan suddenly stood up. Chen Fan, stop making things up. Liu Ruyan's money was in your hands. That's why you paid. You're nothing but the driver's son. Where do you get all this confidence? I laughed. Fine, let's clear everything up. You've all been saying I'm the driver's son, right? Then listen carefully. I'm not the driver's son. Liu Ruyan's father was the driver who worked for my family, the driver who left me behind at school and drove Liu Ruyan and Lu Jingnian home. Instead, I fired him that very day. If you don't believe me, ask Liu Ruyan yourself. Then I looked her straight in the eyes. Go ahead, tell them. Did I lie? Liu Ruyan only glared back at me. Her eyes burned with anger and humiliation. For the first time in her life, she had been completely exposed, but she couldn't say a single word to defend herself. She was afraid. Afraid I'd cancel the payment and leave her even more humiliated in front of everyone. So she quietly turned around and walked out without saying another word. Lu Jingnian followed right behind her. This wasn't easy for him to process either. He had only just learned the truth. Liu Ruyan wasn't the daughter of a wealthy family at all. She was the daughter of Qin Fan's family driver. After they left, I looked around at the rest of my classmates. If there's nothing else, you guys can head home. It's getting late. One by one, everyone left the room. After they were gone, I walked out of Jade Hall as well. The manager personally escorted me to the lobby. Just then, Li Xia walked over. The two of us stepped into the elevator together. This time, neither of us said a word. Today, everyone had finally learned who I really was. But honestly, I didn't feel happy. Compared to everything I'd suffered in my previous life, this was nothing. A little humiliation wasn't nearly enough to satisfy the anger buried inside me. Li Xia noticed how quiet I was, so she didn't ask any questions. As soon as we stepped out of the elevator, we ran into Uncle Joe. This time, he walked straight toward me. Chen Fan, thank you so much. If you hadn't warned me, our hotel could have suffered a terrible accident. I personally inspected the fire safety system, and you were right. There were a lot of serious problems. It was all because of my cousin's negligence. I fired him immediately. I simply smiled. I'm just glad everything was caught in time. Then Uncle Joe asked, but tell me, how did you know? I paused for a second. There was no way I could tell him the truth, so I laughed. I had a dream about it last night. Uncle Joe burst into laughter. Fair enough, I won't ask any more questions. Then he called his assistant over. The assistant placed 2 gift bags in front of us. Just a small thank you gift. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call me. He personally walked us out of the hotel. Outside, the Li family's car was already waiting. Li Xia and I got in together. Night had already fallen. There weren't many people on the streets anymore, but traffic was still crawling. The car slowly made its way through the city. Back then, whenever Li Xia and I were together, we always had something to talk about. But tonight, neither of us spoke. She never interrupted my thoughts. Still, one question kept running through her mind. How had Chen Fan known about the fire safety problems at Wangting Hotel before even the owner did? And today, instead of spending Liu Ruyan's birthday with her, he spent the entire day by my side. Then, in front of everyone, he exposed every lie she'd been hiding. What happened to Chen Fan? How could someone change this much? Practically
Mr. Beast rice, Mr. Beast eats rice, look down dear. Mr. Beast karate master, Mr. Lawyer, Mr. Beast guitarist, it's a risk, but I'll say Mr. Beast, she's a litigator dupe. True, Mr. Beast panda, Mr. Beast panda.